Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with another video. Something that I've been thinking about a lot lately is Cartoon Network's relationship with the fans, the relationship with their fan base, because if you think about it, Cartoon Network really has a hard time when it comes to listening to its fans, listening to what the fans want to see on the channel. First and foremost, I want to say, all companies have a lot of suggestions and things that they hear the fans say they want to see. You shouldn't listen to everything because obviously, you can't please everybody first and foremost. And number two, if you listen to everything that the fans want, more likely than not, you're probably going to end up driving your company into the ground because obviously we don't know the financial situation when it comes to certain things. We don't know the ins and outs like they do when it comes to the corporate side of things. But the thing with Cartoon Network that I struggle with, more often than not, a lot of the fan suggestions are things that are rather simple to do and won't cost them more money. Like, for example, number one, the thing that fans have been asking for the past 5 to 10 years since Christina Miller took over is a better schedule. Cartoon Network at one point was pretty much exclusively airing Teen Titans Go. It was the Teen Titans Go network, not Cartoon Network. Then all of a sudden, it started airing Gumball alongside Teen Titans Go, and now if you look at the channel, those are the two shows that get the most airtime, and as I've discussed at length recently, those shows are repeating these same episodes in back-to-back days, so the channel is at an all-time low variety-wise, and fans for the past decade, like I said, have been asking for a better schedule, and that wouldn't cost you any money to do. That's what I don't get. I get it if the fans are demanding like a high-budget movie or something like that, and you as an executive are like, okay, we could definitely do that, but it's probably going to cost us more to make than we would make in the box office, so we're not going to do that because we're going to lose money. Like, that I completely understand. But the schedule is a thing that would cost you no money to change. You just have to have whoever's working on the schedule behind the scenes just come up with something different. It's not that hard. The other thing I don't understand is when it comes to greenlighting pilots for shows. For example, if you look at Infinity Train, if you guys remember, that was a pilot that went viral on the internet. It was so popular. It was even trending on YouTube at one point. Yet I was making videos for years saying what's happening to the show because Cartoon Network never greenlit it. It took them over 2 years to actually greenlight that show, and obviously it came out. It had 4 books or 4 seasons come out for the show, and we all know what happened from there. The show was canceled because, quote unquote, it had no child entry point in it, so they didn't want to make books 5 through 8. So that show was cut short. Obviously the fans weren't happy with that. And then you look at a similar situation right now with Galactic Kids Next Door. A YouTube short or a YouTube video come out showing the pilot for the series. Same thing which happened with Infinity Train. Obviously, Cartoon Network officially put out the Infinity Train one. Mr. Warburton put up the Galactic Kids Next Door one on his own, but very parallel tracks, right? Both of them become insanely popular online. A lot of fan interest, a lot of people wanting the shows to happen. Yet Cartoon Network showed a reluctancy to make them happen. Infinity Train eventually got made, obviously, as we know, but who knows what's going to happen with Galactic Kids Next Door. And to me, it's like, I don't really understand what your thought process is, because Cartoon Network, if you know people want to see this and you know there's a big interest in this series, there's a lot of people talking about it, which means that a lot of people are going to watch it when it comes out, then why wouldn't you make it? It's essentially a free idea. You have fans asking for something, you have the creator willing to do it, all you have to do is fund it and you'll make money because people are going to watch it because of how much interest there is online. It's just a situation where I can't wrap my head around. Obviously, another franchise who's in a similar state right now is Ben 10. There was a whole thing, I think it was like 2 years ago, there was this whole movement online. I had Ben 10 communities reaching out to me from all around the globe, asking me to get involved in it. If you look at my Twitter, it's my pinned tweet. There was a hashtag Restore the Omniverse that was going around for a good 24 hours. It was trending in some countries, basically saying that fans want to see a sequel series to Omniverse. As we all know right now, as it stands today, Cartoon Network completely ignored that. At one point, I remember Owen Dennis, there was a hashtag trending, I believe it was like Save Infinity Train or something like that, Finish Infinity Train. And Owen Dennis said that he knows for a fact that people at Cartoon Network, people at Warner Media at the time, they saw it. They saw it was trending. It got their attention, yet we sit here today and there still isn't any more Infinity Train. It's just like Cartoon Network, for some reason, is extraordinarily tone deaf when it comes to listening to the fans. For whatever reason, they're hearing what people want. They know what people want to see, yet they're just not listening. They're not doing what fans want. And like I said before, you can't always listen to what fans want because that's not going to be a good way to run a company. But at the same time, it's like if you have ideas that aren't going to cost you much money, or ideas that you know the creator wants to do this, the fans want it to happen, all you have to do is fund it, and you know people want to see it, it's like, why wouldn't you do it? The only thing I will say is in the past, I feel like a lot of these ideas haven't gotten greenlit because Cartoon Network's like, oh, you know, this is a good idea, but it doesn't fit with our ages 6 to 11-year-old demographic. This is probably something meant for an older audience. You could argue maybe that has stopped some of these ideas from happening in the past, but Michael Oling has said that going forward, Cartoon Network doesn't have a demographic. They have a psychographic, which are people that like animated cartoons, whether you're 15 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, or you're 10 years old. They're trying to make a show to attract all of these people at the same time. We'll see what happens going forward, but I mean, as of right now, if you look at Cartoon Network, one of the biggest things that people want is to see classics on the channel, and while they have been doing it a little bit more lately, they're still not at the point where people want them to be at. It's like Cartoon Network hears what the fans want, but for whatever reason, they kind of just ignore it, and it's like, that's not the way to please your audience. Like I said, I want to reiterate, you can't do everything the fans ask for, but you should at least do some of it, because the fans are what made you you. The fans are what made Cartoon Network big. If it wasn't for people watching, if it wasn't for the fans being involved and taking an interest in your properties, you would have never made it out of year one. People would not have cared about your channel, and you would have gone underground bankrupt very quickly. It's the fans that have kept you afloat, and it's the fans that will keep you afloat in the future. You've got to start listening to them at least a little bit, because the way you are right now, if things don't get better, I'm seriously not sure there is a Cartoon Network in the next 5 years, because right now things are pretty bad. There is the promise from Michael Oling that things are going to get back to the way they used to be, but we need to start seeing that happen. We can't just keep hearing these promises and keep seeing Cartoon Network blatantly ignore what people are asking for. At least do something. At least the whole reason I'm making this video, honestly, is because I've realized over time, if you look at the shows that have come back on Cartoon Network in the form of revivals or reboots, not one of the series that has been revived or rebooted have people asked for. The Powerpuff Girls got a reboot. No one asked for that. Ben 10 got a reboot. No one asked for that. People are asking for a revival for Symbionic Titan. People are asking for a sequel series for Galactic Kids Next Door. Those things aren't happening, but for some reason Cartoon Network, they're rebooting and reviving the properties that no one is asking for. And if you look at Ben 10, the Ben 10 reboot was relatively successful in the beginning. Obviously it fell off towards the end, especially with the sales for the merchandise, for the toys. But if you look at the Powerpuff Girls reboot specifically, that show did not do well at all. It bombed. And Cartoon Network, again, they're bringing back the Powerpuff Girls, which it should be different this time around because Craig McCracken's involved. But was anybody asking for another Powerpuff Girls? No, no one was. Are people asking for another Ben 10? Yeah, they are. They're asking to return the original continuity, but for some reason, Cartoon Network, essentially, if you're asking for something as a fan, they're not going to do it. If you're not asking for something, then they're going to do it. It's just really a mind-boggling situation. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because, like, for example, Ben 10 versus the Powerpuff Girls, I would say those are the two biggest properties Cartoon Network has ever made. Ben 10 being the biggest, and Powerpuff Girls probably the second biggest, but that's up for debate. If you know Ben 10's your biggest property and it makes you the most money, and you know that people want you to make a fifth iteration in the original continuity following, you know, Ben after Omniverse, whether it be immediately after or a little bit of a time jump, that's what people want to see. For some reason, people want you to go right and you go left to make a Powerpuff Girls revival again. And it's like, I just really can't wrap my head around that. Anyways, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about all of this. Do you guys agree with me that Cartoon Network seems to do the opposite of what the fans ask for, or just completely ignore them in general? If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content from DC Network. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.